Hello, welcome to Leading Ladies, Past, Present, and Future, an interview podcast produced by HEEP Entertainment that champions the stories and careers of women in entrepreneurship and entertainment. I'm Antoinette Westcott, your host, here with my co-host, Renee L. Paige.
What we're leading today, ladies.
This week we have Shannon Leon joining us. Shannon Leon has done it all, and I do mean it all. From equity partnership at Hampton Inn and a Courtyard Marriott in Atlanta, sole proprietor of Coldstone Creamery, also in Atlanta, co-owner of BreathLes Printing and BreathLes Publishing, based in Miami, owner of Clover Entertainment, and most recently, founder of Vpack for Women, a company focused on the taboo subjects of urinary and vaginal health. These are subjects that are very important to talk about, but no one is talking about them. So today, let's talk about them with Shannon Leon. Welcome, Shannon.
Hey, welcome, Shannon.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, of course.
It's always exciting to talk to other women who understand women and entrepreneurship and also our issues. Yeah. So I'm excited about the combo today.
Yes.
Well, how did you get started in the Vpack? Like, what was the catalyst?
Yeah.
Me and my experience, actually. So I have been running to the bathroom and dealing with UTI since second grade, actually.
Okay.
And, typically when you think of urinary issues or incontinence or anything like that, you're thinking someone with gray hair, someone who's retired, because that's usually who they're advertising to, are people who are older. But in fact, I've been dealing with it since second grade, and so many other women have as well. Over 15 million women worldwide.
But did you know that's what was happening when you were in second grade?
Yeah, actually, I had my first really bad UTI when I was in school, in class. And this was at a time where the bathroom was actually in the classroom. So my teacher noticed that I was taking a little bit longer to come out of the bathroom. And when she came in there, she saw that, my urine had blood in it, and she told my mom.
Oh, yeah. Blood in your urine that young?
Yeah. So
was she concerned about the blood as far as anything else, or?
Not really, because I hadn't had any health issues or anything like that. Okay. And, we do our regular doctor's visits and nothing came up then. But when we went to the doctor to see about it, she said that it was a UTI.
Okay. Because I know with because I'm in the health field, and I know as far as with that, they always say, sometimes the UTI can come from improper, wiping from, because some might wipe back to front, and that's when the stuff from the rectum gets inside, swims up into the vagina, E. coli, where it doesn't supposed to be there. So I know a lot of times young girls get UTIs because of not wiping correctly.
That's right. And sometimes like from tight clothing, if you wear leotards a lot, things like that, if you are not taking care of the area clearly. But I happen to have chronic UTIs at the time. Okay. So I was constantly getting them. And my mom thought probably because I like to hold my urine. Like, how kids are like, oh, I don't want to miss out on anything.
We want to play more than go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Right. But at that time, it was diagnosed. I was given an antibiotic or, something to help with it, and told to drink every juice and water and just keep an eye on it. It should pass. And so it did. It did pass. My longest one has been 2 weeks, but that was as an adult. But as I started to get older, I started to just take care of it and mitigate it myself instead of my mom having to. So I didn't always report it to her to let her know. But I can tell you that going to the doctor, that's all they did. They really didn't inquire anymore. They didn't take note that, hey, this is chronic for her. Okay. So let's look further into it, which is mostly the issue now, because we're seeing our gynecologists pretty much when it comes to any vaginal issues, because that's who we've been conditioned to see. But in fact, women should be going to a pelvic floor therapist to address that issue, because quiet as this kept, gynecologists do not specialize in the pelvic floor area, even though they deliver the babies. That's not their specialty.
Oh, there's two different doctors. So you weren't going to a gynecologist in second grade or thereafter for the UTIs. You went to a pelvic floor?
Well, no, the pelvic floor therapist is actually what I found out recently. And that's why I started to do my virtual summits to educate other women on what specialists they should be seeing. So up until I was 18, when I actually started to see a gynecologist, I was seeing my pediatrician. So my pediatrician was the one who kind of diagnosed the UTIs. But even prior to that, I wet my bed till I was 10, so it was like, okay, well, she just has like a weak bladder. So they just kind of put it on the weak bladder. But had I known, or it wasn't really like urology for women, like pelvic floor therapy is probably like 15 years old at the most. It's fairly new. It's not really like people have been doing it forever. But now that it's here, if you do it preventatively instead of doing it reactively, then you don't have to have those issues show up when you are in your 60s and having to wear Depends or Poise.
And is that coupled with like stress incontinence? Because I know some women, like even with me, I get stress incontinence because I work 12, 16 hours a day. And I know I have gone at least 10 hours holding it because I'm so busy. Mm-hmm. And then like you said, the pelvic floor has gotten weakened. So what I have to do is when I find that I'm running and I'm holding it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to pee on myself, I have to start doing the Kegel exercise to strengthen the floor muscles. So do they talk about
sometimes that doesn't work.
But you have to do it correctly, but it helps me.
Well, actually, doing Kegels is not always a thing because people think, let's do Kegels because it needs to be tightened. But in fact, it might be too tight and you may need it to relax and loosen. So Kegels is not always the answer.
And see, I didn't know that. So that was my go-to when I get to that point, running to the bathroom and I'm, you like, oh my God. So then once I get myself together and I was like, you know what? The next time I'll do my Kegel exercise because I hold it. Because my thought was, my bladder is weak because of holding it for 10 hours because the bladder can only hold so much.
That's right. So, and you shouldn't hold it. You shouldn't hold it. In fact, we shouldn't even be hovering to use the bathroom either. Yes. And I know that's kind of difficult, especially if we're out in public, because who wants to really sit on a public toilet? But if you ask any pelvic floor therapist, they're going to tell you, sit down.
So you can empty it fully, right?
So you can empty it fully. But
why? Because squatting it, you still have some left over?
Residual, I guess. Is that the word?
Exactly. There could still be some left over. And plus the stress of you like trying to balance your body is not good for it either. So you have to kind of like be conscious of what you're doing, even when you're doing Kegels. Because a lot of times I remember hearing people like, oh, when I stop at a red light, I do my Kegels, like when I remember. But in fact, it should be like intentional and you need to concentrate on doing the Kegel. Because if you're going to do Kegels, and in fact, if the Kegel is something that you should be doing. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's tight, but it could be, it needs to be loosened. So you have to, kind of find out what it is that you're doing. And some people don't even know how to do a Kegel because they don't know what they're concentrating on.
Right.
With pelvic floor therapists, they're actually able to do a physical exam as well.
Okay.
So
examine the pelvic, and because I know some women that I've taken care of before, they had a tilted pelvis and that contribute to the UTIs because of the placement of the pelvis.
That's right. And some women deal with prolapses also, which basically feels like, or you may even see like the organ kind of protruding out.
Seen that. Yes, I've seen that. But let me ask you a question. So, because I know my daughter, she's famous for every morning getting her cranberry juice. I got to have my cranberry juice. I have to have my cranberry juice. So I think her gynecologist told her that, if you drink cranberry juice, it'll keep it so that the stream and you won't get UTIs. Is that recommended per your pelvic floor
Well,
doctor?
well, most people do, their go-to is cranberry juice, and for years it was mine as well. But the problem is there's a lot of sugar in cranberry juice, which could aggravate, your UTI and the bacteria.
Well, I started doing cranberry pills, like they're little concentrated pills that I found at Whole Foods.
That's right.
That I've been using.
Okay. Right. Okay. So what you're actually looking for is D-mannose, which is found in the cranberry. So if you could get to the cranberry part of it or the D-mannose part of it, then you're actually getting to what you need without having to consume all of that sugar with cranberry juice. So my favorite brand is West Coast Mint. Rochelle actually, West Coast Mint. They're actually located in California. And Rochelle, also the creator of the company, or the owner of the company, she actually also understands our plight because she's been through it herself. So, a lot of times these things show up after people give birth or during their pregnancy. Right. But a lot of times people give birth and they're like, oh, I'm fine. I didn't need any pelvic floor therapy or anything like that. But then it shows up when they are 60 and their kids are adults. And funny thing is that here in the United States and also Canada, we don't get the well-rounded healthcare that the UK, Australia, even they automatically have pelvic floor therapy as a part of their health, especially when they get pregnant. So if we had that as well, we wouldn't see so many people that need to have Depends or
well, how many women do you even know? I'm sure you've done the research. Like, what's the percentage of women that have an issue with incontinence?
Well, over 200 million people worldwide, because men deal with it too. It's not just women, but 15% of that are women between the ages of 18 and 44. So even though
does it get worse or better?
It gets worse. And plus it takes a long time for us to even share that with our healthcare provider. So even though we're going to a gynecologist and we're in that most intimate position and we have the opportunity to talk about it, we don't because we're still even embarrassed to tell the doctor. So it's not even probably being properly recorded, that most women are dealing with this. So that's why the percentage is really low of women who report it that are younger. But if they did report it, if they did bring it up, at least to their healthcare provider, they could be treated and they don't have to live like that for the rest of their lives. And I didn't find that out until 40 years old.
Yeah, that's a long time to wait. So listen up, younger generation.
Women, period. Just about your pelvic health, period.
That's right.
Because a lot of times, sometimes that a UTI can sometimes lead to, what is it called? Pelvic inflammatory disease and things like that. So I think once you start going to a gynecologist, maybe that should be coupled with what is it called? Pelvic floor therapist. Maybe they should work in tandem together. So it's something that it's with alongside, not just going to the gynecologist, but you're learning about the pelvic education.
That's right. Like a lot more gynecologists are willing to partner with pelvic floor therapists. I find that more urologists are open to working with pelvic floor therapists. But sometimes maybe the pelvic floor therapist is not as appreciated by a gynecologist, so they don't partner.
And so they feel like they're competing. They probably feel like they're competing instead of the referral from, like you said, with the urologist from the gynecologist. It's like on that referral basis where the gynecologist and the pelvic floor therapist may think that it's a competition, because it's like, if I'm going to that, maybe I don't need that. But we need to be educated on the difference.
That's right. So, and that's a big part of it. So there's a big community of pelvic floor therapists and specialists and people that that educate on it or that teach it or that work hand in hand with a urologist. And even going to the urologist, like you think of a urologist and you're thinking men. That my mind went to, I can go to see a urologist because I'm having issues with my bladder or my urethra, or I am having these chronic UTIs. That was never even a thought. And no gynecologist has ever recommended that I do that. And I have a record of having chronic UTIs and incontinence. I've always had incontinence as well. So, but the reason I created Vpack is because I had the worst of incontinence. And I had my longest UTI, which lasted 2 weeks, all at one time after a hospitalization that I had 2 years ago, just at the beginning of the pandemic. So it had gotten to the point where I could not hold it at all. And my bladder, even if I would get to my house and I'd be opening up the garage door, my bladder's like, oh, we're home. Let's go.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
If I got to a public restroom, I'd literally be taking my pants down in front of the toilet and my bladder's like, oh, we're here. And so
yeah.
I have that issue. I can totally.
Do you do the dance? Do you do that dance where you?
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. My son will tell you as soon as he's like, Mom, I can feel the car shaking. Like, it's so embarrassing. I'm like, Jacob, nobody can see us. But he's like, oh no, already embarrassed. He can tell you about that.
Yeah. My friends are like, do you have to go to the bathroom? I'm like, how do you know?
I know, but it was
I look like a little kid. Like I have to go. Yes, I have to go.
Yeah. And it was so embarrassing. Like I had to be in court. And I had to put in some paperwork, just provide them the paperwork. And I had to go in there like soaking wet. And I was like, I'm just going to put on a brave face and act like maybe it's a part of the outfit. I don't know, kind of like this tie-dye shirt, but that was like the lowest point for me. So that's when I was like, I know that there's other women that's going through this that could probably use some support, because there's no way I can lock myself at home. I have a son who's very active. I had to take him to school at the very least, and then take him around to his activities. And I also had to go to meetings. I also had a social life. So I wasn't able to just lock myself up at home. The pandemic came at a great time where I was able to do some healing, and learn and educate people, learn myself, and also educate people about pelvic floor therapy. So I had an opportunity to heal. But what about the people that can't? So that's where Vpack, the subscription box, came in handy, because it has like 6 to 8 items in it for women to use every day. But it's not just diapers and pads.
Are there different pills or pads or instructions or guides on how to improve? Absolutely. So there's definitely usually a pamphlet or a book included that talks about it. There's also like leak-proof underwear or an item of clothing or something like that. Sometimes women experience vaginal dryness as well, or discomfort during sex because of it, or they don't want to have sex at all because it hurts. So there are things in there that can like really support them on that kind of thing. And then we always have where they can come and see the summit or see the replays of the summit. And then everybody who's involved in the summit, they are very generous in sharing their platforms as well and their educational products and services. So they have like the full scope of how they can kind of heal from it, but also be supported along their healing journey.
Yeah, because I find myself when I go certain places, I limit my liquid intake so that I'm not feeling like like if I'm out. So because I don't want that accident. Renee? So like I'll limit my fluid intake, because if I don't drink anything, I don't have to pee. If I don't drink anything, then I don't have to pee. So when I'm out in public for a long period of time, I may limit my fluid intake so that I won't have to search for a bathroom. Good, we need to it's have not water. Good. Right. But the thing is, once you start doing that dance, that's the worst feeling, to get to the door and you're like, oh my God, because you don't want to be embarrassed. So I just won't drink as much water until I get, like, if I get to work, I'm fine because I have access to a toilet, or if I get near home, I know I can come back home. But if I'm out at a public event and I'm going to be there for a while, I may limit my fluid intake because I don't want to get into the stress incontinence. Because
so with this is like, I'm so glad, like, why don't they have more toilets for women. Like when you go out, you go to restaurants, you go in the men's bathroom, there is urinal,
Mhm.
stalls, and we get like 1 or 2 stalls. And then the line for women is like
Is way back
outdoor and
there.
around the corner. And they've got multiple outlets to use a toilet, and we've got limited when we are trying to get in their bathroom. We have to. There's multiple reasons that.
Yeah,
that's right. And actually, Renee, this is how I ended up in the hospital, because I was severely dehydrated. Because I, as well, if I'm traveling, if I'm going to be on the road or out for an extended amount of time, I'm not drinking a drop of water, and I don't drink alcohol. I really don't like participate or partake in drinking alcohol. Usually my go-to would have been cranberry juice with lime, or like a Moscow Mule without the alcohol, something like ginger like or something like that. But again, that's a lot of sugar that aggravates, that can aggravate it. So I wouldn't say that just do not eat any sugar or consume any sugar, because what affects me may not affect you.
Right.
So citrus might affect you, whereas I can drink cranberry juice all day and sugar doesn't affect me. So you just have to figure out what works best for you.
I think water is best. I think water, the only thing is with water, because as I get older, I'm starting to increase the amount of water that I intake. But then, once you drink a bottle, it goes right through you. And it's like, oh my God, I got it. So like I said, it's a balance. So it's like before I leave the house, I pee, I drive. And if I get to an area, the first thing I do is I go to the ladies' room. Then I'll be sociable. If I drink something, then I go to the bathroom. So I kind of put it in my life, part of my plan. As soon as I come in the building, I'm like, okay, the ladies' room is that way. So I know. So that's part of my planning with the trip. Even driving long distance, I'm like, okay, there's a McDonald's, there's a Burger King, there's a 7-Eleven.
Looking at all the exits.
Exactly. So I put it in my life. It's planned.
And then actually, like I'm such like a germaphobe, or like
me too.
I'm not just using anybody's bathroom. McDonald's and Burger King are not going to see me. So I actually go a little bit extra step further, since I have, been involved with Marriott and Hilton. I'm like, I will be stopping either at a Hampton Inn, a Courtyard, because I know that their bathrooms are accessible. I know where they are compared, like, in association to
at the near the reception.
Exactly. Where you walk in, I know exactly where they are. I know that their parking is going to be convenient. So I'm not going to have to like go through valet. I'm not going to have to go park in a garage or anything like that. It's right there in front of the door, and I can jet to it. So
can anyone
and look like your hotel guest.
Right. So can a lay person, because I know after a certain time you have to have key entry. So somebody like me, if I'm riding, I'm like, oh, I'll start to see a Marriott, then I go to stop and pull over and I'm running, doing a dance. Is it going to be a thing where, wait, hold up, are you a guest? So
far I haven't gotten that. And you know why? Because I walk in there like I am a guest. So I'm just like,
right.
Like,
not doing the pee dance, just walk in, hold it.
I'll speak to them and everything. Hey, good night. Good morning.
Now mine will be totally different. I'll be running and doing a dance, and
me too. And that's another thing. I'm busy. I'm in a rush. Let me go. Right. So I work it out though, but I just like, for me, I know those points that are going to be near, and I know like if I do go to a restaurant or something like that, am I parking in front or in back? Because where's the bathroom in proximity where I'm entering? Just like you said, you walk into a building and the bathroom's going to be to the right or the left. I do the same thing. And it's become like, I have to like plan out that kind of thing before I go. I look at everybody's menu before I go, like out to eat. If I know that I have a business meeting or if I know that I'm meeting friends, I look at that menu to see what I can and can't have ahead of time.
Right, because you're vegan now. You're on
congratulations.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So I was vegan for about 3.5 years. But after that hospitalization, I was severely dehydrated. I also was anemic. And so I decided, okay, well, I love being a vegan. Oh my goodness, I love being a vegan because I love coming up with the different meals. And I love pretty food. So even though I've never been a chef, a cook, or anything like that, I like to present my food that way, even like just for me, like eating with my son. So I can't eat soy. So
Why?
for like 2 weeks, and I was so sick for like 2.5 months, couldn't figure it out, and it was the soy. So I never ate any soy.
Like you're allergic?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm allergic to it, but it doesn't make me feel good.
Okay.
So I stay away from it. But I decided that I don't want anything pretending to be anything, so I would get really creative with the vegetables.
So like the Beyond Burgers and sausages you don't like?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's not that I don't like them. I'll have them once in a while. And if they have something vegan on the menu that includes something like that, then I will. But I probably would not buy it for my home.
Okay.
Yeah. But I loved being vegan. Like it like pushed me to be creative when it comes to meal prep, and it helped me to stay hydrated also, because while I can't drink water, I can snack on tangerines. I can snack on watermelon, and that won't send me to the bathroom, but it keeps me hydrated.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to cook that you learned?
Okay, so I loved hot dogs before. So I like to make carrot dogs. So I smoke them out, and I make smoked salmon with them too. Well, smoked salmon, but I just smoke them out, and or I bake them like in a salt bar, or whatever you call it, like in a loaf pan. I'll pack it with salt and cook it for a couple of hours, and that's kind of how I make. But I also can make vegan lobster rolls. So
no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay, you're doing the cooking show. We're gonna make these things. You can pick one.
Yeah, I can also.
Actually gonna get on a show this week with me.
You are okay.
I'm gonna convert Renee slowly. Come on over a little bit at a time.
I want to try it. I want to try it. You made me some vegan spaghetti. So
yeah, some of the little meatball vegan. I think Gardein. I don't remember which brand. I got to find it again for you.
Yeah. So most people, they invite you over. They invite you out to dinner. They're like, "Oh, there's a salad."
I know,
because I just want to eat salad all day. So one year, my family, I got tired of them like just having a salad for me. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to show you guys. I cooked everything. I made collard greens. I made black eyed peas. I made macaroni and cheese that didn't have not one even vegan cheese in there. And they were like, what is this? They couldn't believe it. It was macaroni and cheese. And
what's your secret ingredient for the mac and cheese?
It was all vegetables, really. I put all vegetables in there. And it came out spectacular. I did the desserts. I did sweet potato pie. I did apple pie. I did lemon meringue pie.
Oh, that's favorite.
Yeah. And they were like, they couldn't believe it, because here they are giving me salad. And I'm like, no, this is what it's like, to be vegan. And so, and I had my sister actually had her vegan friend in town, and he was like, oh, your sister could cook for me anytime. But I think it's just in people's head that, oh, vegan. You're limited choices. It's not going to taste good. I don't really like vegetables and fruit. Or people really like fruit, but then they don't like vegetables. And so, then it becomes.
Well, do you like the term plant-based better?
I think that most people deal with plant-based better, because it's levels to veganism as well. Like, there are people that are raw vegan that kind of look down on people who, cook their food or prepare their food, because they're like, that's not real vegan. If you cook your food, steam your food, anything with the food other than its natural state. So at one point I was saying plant-based, but when I think of people that say plant-based, I think that they still kind of eat something else, but mostly have a plant-based diet. So I don't know, I would say plant-based. as a vegan.
But it's different. So you're saying that it's like different levels to being vegan? Because I know one, you can eat eggs, right?
That's vegetarian. Vegetarian.
Okay, I'm sorry. So again, I need education. To be honest, like when I think of vegan, that's what I think. Vegetarian, that you cannot eat any meat, nothing, and it's different levels. So I need to be educated also because I'm thinking vegan is vegetarian. I just thought it was a short name, and I'm going to put myself out there. That's what I thought. Vegetarian is vegan is short for vegetarian. That's what I thought.
Yeah, a lot of people probably misconstrue that. Like it's if you're eating cheese or if you're eating eggs or anything like that, then you consider it a vegetarian. You don't eat meat, but you also still eat animal products. So that would be a vegetarian. Yeah, so there's raw vegan. Those are people who do not cook their food at all. They don't eat anything outside of fruits and vegetables.
And nuts.
Okay.
Seeds and nuts.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So, because I mean, I know it's someone out there besides Renee Paige that got it mixed up because
Absolutely.
I'm thinking.
All the time.
So, like I said, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but that's what I automatically thought. Because I know one time, Antoinette, for a meeting, you and I went somewhere. I think it was Wild Wings. I got my wings.
Oh, right.
And you got the cauliflower wings. Was it? And I was like, and they looked good. I was like, oh, they look better than my stuff. But I'm just thinking you are vegetarian and you cannot eat meat at all. So that's educational, informative for me.
Yeah. So vegetarians, they don't eat meat, but they eat animal products. So like cheese and eggs.
Okay.
Yeah. And yogurt and stuff like that.
Okay. And then the vegan is, what's the difference? Because like I said, you got to dumb it down for me. So don't be polite.
So vegan, you use you use vegetables and fruit, and nuts. You can use nuts as well. People use tofu, like soy, like to get like the texture of different things. But really, like I've made almost everything, and you don't have to use soy tofu, to do it. But I do have a son, and at the time he was just like, "Oh no, you're not going to ruin my childhood by making me." So I would have him. He would eat vegan just like me when we were home. But our deal was when we go out to eat or if we're at someone's home, you're allowed to have whatever it is that you want. So he didn't miss an opportunity to have a steak or ribs.
So when he goes, so if you're out and he's with his friends and, he's a kid, so he can have the Burger King, he can have the McDonald's, but that's something that if you're mother and son, if you're riding down the street, you're not going to just stop and take him to Burger King. You're going to go home and I would, but I didn't raise my son with Burger King and McDonald's, so that wasn't really in his kind of thing. That's not really what he likes. But like if we were to go to a restaurant, he likes grilled chicken, broccoli, mashed potatoes, or a steak or ribs or something like that. But I also didn't raise him to eat pork either because by the time I was 19, I wasn't able to eat pork. So he hadn't had pork.
Are you allergic to pork? Or is it like soy?
Or is it religion?
No. I'm half Puerto Rican, so we grew up with roasted pork.
Yeah. Okay.
And ham and all that kind of stuff. But at 19 years old, I wasn't able to eat it anymore. It just messed with my stomach. It made it queasy. It just, for days it would not be okay. Have a sour stomach for a couple of days. And then also whole milk. I wasn't able to eat to drink whole milk anymore. So even like in raising, like when my son was a baby, I breastfed, but he never had like whole milk or milk until he was much older. I gave him yogurt, I gave him broccoli, I gave him kale, like other things so that he can still have the nutrients that he needed that would have been in milk, but he just didn't have it because I didn't consume it.
Wow.
So since he was raised that way, his palate isn't really made for, like, if you give him a choice, like, hey, do you want to get something to eat? He'll probably be like, oh, let's get Chipotle, or let's get, a salad with chicken and avocado. Like that's how he eats. So it
oh my
was.
goodness. I didn't even discover avocados till moving to LA. And we had avocados everywhere. My mom's best friend has an avocado grove on their property. And they're massive avocados.
Yes.
Out here, we get these little baby little things.
I was going to ask you, how in the world did you miss that? Because we do have like huge avocados, and they're so buttery. Like they're buttery and sweet. And if you spread that, it's like a replacement for butter. It's delicious if you have those kind of avocados, like Haas avocados, everybody's used to, the little ones that you can buy anywhere. But the Florida avocados,
I'm allergic. So, I have an intolerance, because if I eat anything like guacamole or avocado, I will vomit viciously.
Oh no.
And I learned that from Chipotle. Is it Chipotle or someone? I was eating the guacamole dip and I just kept vomiting. And then I went to a sushi bar and it had avocados, and I just started violently throwing up. And it's because of the two. So I don't eat anything with avocado. Or
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. And that's why I don't chance it with the pork at this point,
right,
because I don't want to be out and have something like that happen. But my son is a little bit more curious these days, and I told him, if you want to try it at home, like let's not be out. Like even with the ribs, he has beef ribs. He doesn't have pork ribs. But I told him, if you want to try it, maybe when we go to, a family member's house or like a friend's house who eats ham or pork, maybe you could try it then. Okay. Don't try it at school. Don't try it, at an important venue or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. We skipped the rapid fire questions. We just jumped right in. So I'd like to go do those real quick. Just the first thing that pops to your head, whatever comes up. Okay. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book? Crazy Faith by Michael Todd, Pastor Michael Todd.
What's it about?
Yeah. So Crazy Faith is about having faith beyond what you can just see in front of you. So if you can believe it, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. But it first starts with crazy faith.
Okay. We'll add that one to the list.
Actually, it's on my coffee table. So Crazy Faith.
Oh, awesome. Have you heard of that one, Renee?
No.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. We keep asking everybody. We have a book club going on.
Yeah, we do.
Within the team. So we're on The Secret right now. Have you read The Secret?
Yeah, so I have my book.
Long time ago.
Oh, you knew I was going to mention it. I need to go get my prop.
Yes. It's right on your bookshelf right there.
Oh, no, because I'm reading it. It's in my bed.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably have that book buried somewhere. But next to the Bible, Crazy Faith is one that I go and reference all the time.
Okay.
But the Bible is something like every morning, my son and I read scripture. He actually reads Psalm 91 every morning. We pray over that scripture. And, Habakkuk 2:2 is my favorite because it basically says, write the vision down and make it plain. And I've been writing my vision down and making it plain since I could remember.
Yeah, it's working. You got all these businesses. So yeah, it's working.
I know. Since we got out of college, you've been doing a business after business. It started with the chocolate fountain.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And the Jell-O shots.
Wow.
Renee, I don't even drink, and I invented these Jell-O shots. And
I never got to try them. The photos were so cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're the person that started them. I'd never seen them before. And then they started blowing up everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you have what is that called? The ice cream place that I love, the ice cream
Yes. So my very first business was a Coldstone Creamery franchise.
Coldstone. Yes.
Yes. So it's based in Scottsdale, Arizona, but they started to come over to the East Coast. I really wanted to have one here in Miami, but it worked out where I had one in Atlanta.
Oh, I know that. It's hot. I know it's hopping in Atlanta. The Coldstone.
I think it was better here in Miami.
Okay.
And plus, like, it gets cold in Atlanta. So what happens is people eat ice cream. They eat ice cream all year round. However, they may not come out to get ice cream.
Okay.
They would buy it in the grocery store, but they wouldn't come out. And I was in a brand new shopping center down the street from Little 5 Points, which is a popular area in Atlanta. And my shopping center was brand new. I was the first tenant in my unit. And just the parking was a little weird, but the experience was invaluable. It was my first business.
Wow,
So it's
great.
So you owned you had the franchise.
The franchise.
So how do you sell it off, or how
you can sell your franchise. There are people that own more than one. In fact, I would encourage, if you're going to franchise, get more than one store if you can. It just makes sense, with the budgeting and then the revenue also makes more sense if you have more than one as well. That's why you have McDonald's franchisees that own more than one.
Is Coldstone, like, you have a region, and if you're in that area, that zone, you can have as many as you want?
No, not necessarily. Like, we had a support group with the franchisees that were in the area, and we got together and we did our marketing together for our market. Of course, Coldstone has its name. That's why you buy a franchise, for the name.
The name.
Right. So, and their national marketing efforts, but we got together as a group and to do our local marketing efforts and whatever things that we wanted to do for the community. So you don't necessarily need to, have a certain area or, claims to a certain area. It can be, spread out throughout or in different states if you want.
Right. Okay, I'm going to jump back to the rapid fire questions. We kind of went off on a tangent, and I'm sure it'll happen again. What's your number one advice for self-care?
Do it. Because a lot of times we don't. So that would be it.
True. So what do you do for self-care?
Oh my gosh. If you call my sisters, they will tell you I'm always in the bathtub.
Yes.
I love being in the bathtub. I love bath crystals. My favorite one, actually, I just ran out of it. My sister bought it for me for Christmas. It was roses and Epsom salt. Oh my gosh. It had my whole bedroom smelling like roses.
I can imagine.
But yeah.
What brand is it? Is it certain ones that you like better?
No, I like to try different ones, and everybody buys me these things. So I really don't have to buy them because we will buy them for me. But
easy gift for Shannon. We know
Epsom
that we can buy you bath
flavored scented Epsom salt.
Yes, I love it.
Okay, if you could have coffee with one person, who would it be?
Coffee with someone like a mentor or something like that.
However you take it.
Yeah.
One person besides
Dead or
me, because
alive.
we've done coffee way too many times, or not enough actually, because we're on the wrong coast.
Probably God. That would probably be the person I would want to have coffee with.
What would you ask him?
Yeah.
One
thing.
How are you? I just like, how are you? You know how I am. How are you?
Okay.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
What's one of the best investments you made in 2021 under $100?
In myself, like with the books and different versions of the Bible, probably I discovered. So that's probably the best investment that I made under $100 is just books that encourage me.
Oh, name 3.
Name 3 books?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just discovered the Passion translation of the Bible. So that was one. And then the Crazy Faith one I got as well. And then I got this one upon recommendation called Never Split the Difference.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So a friend of mine happened to say, hey, I'm reading this book, and she's in sales. And she was like, I happen to be reading this book. And I was like, oh, tell me about it. I'm into books lately and everything. We both had that book.
What is it about?
You already had it.
It's
What is
about
it about?
negotiating. It's about negotiating and being more confident in negotiating and asking for your worth, your price, no matter what someone else may value you as. You have to know your value. You have to be confident in negotiating.
You talked about that before, Antoinette, like when you worked at the law firm, of helping women know their values and being able to negotiate how much they're worth.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things that I learned. Like when my first law firm as a file clerk, one of the ladies told me that they wouldn't, women are harder to help you move up and everything. And so I just went right into, I'm going to help every woman. I'm going to help them get their next job. And I would help all of them, like whenever I'd be their referral or help them pass the little tests that they had to do online for the job, help them negotiate, talk to them how to do a job interview, because there's a certain tactic, and that negotiating salaries was a huge thing because men know how to do it. They pass that along. Luckily, I had, the male attorneys that I worked with that I looked up to mentor in those days, and they helped me along. So I just kept passing that along. So I can't wait to read that book.
Yeah, never saw the difference.
I don't know a lot, so that will teach me. Renee, that's number 3.
Yeah. That's so many books.
The secret. That's the next one. We've got to learn how to do these pitches.
Yes.
For sure.
And then read a pitch book.
Yes.
And since you've had so many careers, so many jobs, and take all of that away, if you could switch to another career, your passion, what would you do?
Well, recently people are like, you've missed your calling as like a therapist, a therapist, or like a counselor, because I am good at giving people advice without being judgmental and without them feeling like, oh, if I don't take her advice, then, she's never going to talk to me again, or she's not going to be my friend. Because I think it's important that, first of all, you don't give advice unless someone asks you for it. And then the next thing is that you can't have the expectations of that person to follow your advice exactly, because they're on their own path in their own journey, and they make decisions based on what works best for them. And so, but coming from that kind of place makes people feel better about, taking or listening to my advice. So I surprised
okay. So are you going to start your own podcast? We'll be calling in, talking to you about what do we do next? How do I do this? You're already a mentor, so
yeah, you are.
Well, people ask me all the time to do like a podcast, but if I do a podcast, I'm not sure what it would be about just yet, because of course I have Vpack and it could be about that.
Yes.
But it can also be about entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur for over 16 years now. So,
well, it could be, listening to women's issues with the Vpack stuff and the urinary issues, because like you took action when you were younger, where I should have looked into it, right? I was in college. It was spring break. And you know Debbie and Jen. You've met them both, Shannon. And it was spring break back in the 90s, 2000s. And it was one of those obstacle bounce house things on the beach. MTV was there. It was like one of those MTV in Panama City. And I did this thing where you like have a bungee tied to your back, you're in the suit and you got to run as far as you can. And then it pulls you back, and it's like a bounce thing, right? It's like a bounce house, and you're racing against the person next to you. So I think I raced with Debbie. I don't remember. And because the next part is the most dramatic thing. I start running and I'm going and I'm laughing like hysterical. This is the most silliest thing, right? And then it pulls me back. I'm having so much fun. I just pissed my pants right there on the seat.
Well,
I'm bouncing in a puddle of my own pee, and it's just like getting bigger and bigger.
oh my goodness. I was going to say, well, at least you were on the beach. You could have been like, oh.
But the next person then had to come
Oh my goodness.
through my
Oh my God. Poor thing.
Oh my God, Jen and Debbie were like, come on, let's go. And I'm like, I can't get up. I don't know what to do. They came down and I'm like sitting in this pool and they just like pick me up and I slipped and they wrapped their shirt around me. One of them took their shirt off or something and just wrapped it around me because it was like all my shorts were just.
Oh my goodness.
Now you were rocking all day.
Let me tell you, this doesn't even surprise me because
why? Because of me or
no, it doesn't surprise me.
You will try anything. Me too. I'm like but she will try anything. So
yes,
but
yeah.
That's kind of like what is that Jada Pinkett movie with Tiffany Haddish?
I was thinking about that being up and then the pee just coming down. That's what I was just sitting there thinking about. Like, what in the hell? You got me crying over here. Oh my God. I know the next person was pissed.
Literally.
Yeah, pissed.
I need to know who that person is.
Oh my God. I know they were hot. Oh my God.
Oh,
You got me crying.
They probably didn't even know it was pee.
Oh my.
They probably smelled it, but like, what is this? Oh God. Jesus. Oh God, you got me crying.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh God.
Let's let Renee clear her tears of
No,
laughter.
go ahead. It's from laughter. Go ahead.
Okay, Shannon.
Oh God. Oh.
What's the first thing you do every morning?
So every morning you probably won't be surprised, but I thank God. I usually do my prayer. And I do my prayer. I sometimes do Bible reading also before, because I'm an early bird. So I wake up pretty early. So that's the first thing.
Okay. And what's your favorite podcast?
So I have so many, I don't know. Right now,
give me a couple.
Yeah,
okay, so right now I'm loving It's Our Love with Tony the Closer and Nicole Linnell. They're such a cool couple, and
what do they talk about?
About how they met and how they operate in their relationship, and now kind of going to giving other people advice on relationships. But at first it just kind of started out as their love story and how they met and how they came together and everything. So it's just really cute. But I also like T.I. T.I. is so funny.
Yes.
He's so funny. So I love his podcast. And they're also like educational. He has people, when he had David Banner on there, I listened to that like 10 times because, I love David Banner and, what
love David Banner. Yeah.
So I love his as well. And then Lovey Ajayi, she had a podcast. I don't think they've recorded lately, but she had a podcast with Yvonne Orji from Insecure, and them and their accents, their Nigerian accents. Oh my goodness, they're too funny. So, they would talk about growing up or, dealing with life, like even how it is now, having African parents and African heritage and things like that. So that always kept me laughing and in stitches. And I really enjoy hearing people talk as opposed to hearing music sometimes. So,
Does music calm you? Do you listen to music for calming or like for getting energized?
Yeah. So, I do listen to music for all kinds of things. So you know how they would be like pretty girls listen to trap, or pretty girls do their music to trap or something like that. So I probably would exercise to trap music. Funny story, like I was listening to, I like listening to all kinds of music. I listen to Spanish music, reggaeton. I like reggae music. I like, what is that music? What would you call that music that came on Power 96? Because my mom's always like, oh, that's Shannon's music. I'm like,
freestyle, old school freestyle, like the Timmy T and One More Try.
Yes, like all of those people, Maria, like all the TK, like stuff like that. So that was like my favorite music, like growing up. Now
I like the hypnotic music. What was it, like the original? What is it? Techno with
like what they
I call it roller skating music.
Right. Exactly, like skating music. That's so funny. But I don't know if our skating music is the same like everywhere else, but that's the kind of music that I'm talking about. So now that they have like EDM, my mom's like, that's Shannon's music. I'm like, no, it's not.
Do you listen to reggaeton?
I love reggaeton. So I like Bad Bunny, of course. And I like let's see. I like all of the ones that are out. I like Mark Anthony. I love to sing. So I like Mark Anthony's music, but I also like the older music as well. So I like Celia Cruz. I like to listen to Celia. When her Netflix, it wasn't on Netflix at first. I think it was on Telemundo or something like that. It was like 81 episodes. I binge watched that thing. Like that was all. I was like speaking in my accent and everything else, like for all of us.
You're Puerto Rican, so do you speak Spanish? And you're from Miami.
You speak Spanish, right?
So I don't speak Spanish fluently because my when they came here from Puerto Rico, my dad was like 9 years old. And my grandmother was a nurse, so she needed to learn English. And so she would, have them speak to her in English. And none of them taught their kids how to speak Spanish. And my grandparents never like enforced us to like speak to them, even though they might speak to us. They weren't like, oh no, speak in Spanish. So I understand a lot more than I speak. But I can order food.
So you get by pretty well down there in Miami.
Yeah.
Better than me. So you didn't get to mention, and I'm surprised when I asked about self-care, about your journaling, and that's what a lot of our other leading ladies have suggested is journaling.
About the journaling.
Is one of their things.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. So funny, like since I can remember, like second grade, I think my teachers like encouraged us to do that. So I always walked around with a notebook for as long as I can remember. And back then there was homework.
So you weren't worried about someone, your sister, coming in?
Nope. No.
And reading it?
Nope. I always had notebooks. And actually, my mom gave me a box a couple of years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I felt that way, because I've always been, I think, a happy person, but when I was reading some of my journals, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that I was going through anything in middle school. And so it was interesting to go back and read those. But as I got older, the journaling is a little bit different than, growing up, and you're kind of writing about your feelings and your interactions on a daily basis. So one of the most pivotal things that I did that I journaled about was that when I graduated from college, I made a 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year plan. And I decided to, pursue it. And I put myself around the people who look like me. So, I have 3 minorities pretty much. I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Black, and I'm a woman. So I wanted to put myself around the people that look like me, that were, that had accomplished what I wanted to. So basically the whole thing was like a real estate kind of investment thing. Because when I went to school, I wanted nothing to do with entrepreneurship. I didn't want to be responsible for anyone's livelihood or anything like that. So my plan was to go and get my degree, go to medical school, and invest in real estate. So the first year I wanted to do a single family home In 5 years, I wanted to do multifamily homes, like apartments. And in the 10th year, I wanted to be a hotelier. So what did I do? I joined NABHOOD, which is the National Association of Hotel Ownership and Development.
Mm-hmm.
I think I may have missed a letter, but I became really close with the founder of that organization, and he made introductions. He actually took me traveling with him, to educate people on the ABCs of hotel ownership. And funny enough, I ended up doing my first hotel deal through my trainer.
Oh, cool.
In Atlanta, because he knew that that was something that I was pursuing, but I never thought that I would do it like when I did. But I ended up doing that plan, that 10-year plan, within 4 years of writing that.
Wow.
So,
Whoa.
yeah.
So you would agree
So
that
what's your
writing
new
out your
10-year
vision,
plan?
you agree that writing out your vision is very important?
It is. It's very important. So when people, do their annual boards, their vision boards,
Right.
I think it's important that you also journal that, and also, just kind of put more detail into it, but take it seriously, because you do want to work that vision, because faith without works is dead. So you have to, visualize it, write it down, but you have to put action to it, because it's not just going to fall out of the air.
Okay, Renee, we haven't asked your favorite question.
Oh, my favorite question. Do you know Denzel Washington? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So I know you're busy. You have multiple streams of income. You said you're an early bird. You get up early. But what prevents you from hitting the snooze button so that you can get up? I hit the snooze button multiple times. So what stops you from hitting the snooze button and then just getting up and getting your day started, being productive?
Well, there are days that I'm like planning, like, okay, this Saturday, I will not be getting out of my bed until 10:30. So even if I am awake early, I will not get out of that bed until 10:30, get dressed and all that kind of stuff. I grew up where we had to get up on the weekend and get dressed, clean, and then we could go relax. But we had to be dressed. There was no pajamas all day or anything like that. So me and my son do pajamas all day.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Love that. But it's not really motivation that gets me up. Because if it was motivation, then I'd probably hit the snooze button. But it's more discipline than anything. And being up that early also gives me time to get stuff done that I wouldn't be able to during the day. Because I don't know if a Zoom meeting might pop up. Because we're dealing with different companies and different people all day. And I support all of the founders in my company that I work with right now. And there's no way that I'd be able to do the things that I want to do for myself during the hours that I need to be available for them, or my son, being at school, or his sports and everything. So it's more a discipline thing, I would say. That helps me to get up and do the things that I do before everyone wakes up.
I do find on my days off, I have found that since I'm doing more, I have found that getting up early and getting it done is better. So I'm starting, and being on this podcast, I'm starting to hit the snooze button less. Because everybody made me feel like a lazy, like, oh, you just lay in bed. But when you're in bed,
that's motivation.
And that's because you're not getting things done. So I'm getting up on my days off. When I have days off, I'm getting up at 6 and 7 o'clock. And it's just that action. What is Newton's law? A body in action stays in action, or body in motion stays in motion. So I'm getting up now, even if it's just me getting up, sitting on the bed and thanking God that I'm waking up. But getting up early and just moving, that's starting to help me, and I'm getting more done than later on during the day. If I want to read my book, or if I want to listen to a podcast or do something, I can do that, or try to talk to my grandson, trying to call him. So that's, Jacob, because he's so busy as a 7-year-old, but I have more time getting up earlier. So that's a good practice to have, and being disciplined.
Yeah. My son's name is Jacob.
I have a Jacob too. So, yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you, Shannon Leon, for being our leading lady
Yes.
this week and being on our podcast. If someone wants to get in touch with you, get a Vpack, get in contact with you about doing a seminar or the summit, how can they get in touch with you or follow you?
Yeah, well, I am on Instagram. I don't post a lot because I'm not like a social person, but I will answer you if you contact me. So it's S as in Shannon _ D as in David, O as in ostrich, T as in tango _98. From the era of Jay-Z. So S.98 is where you could find me on Instagram.
Great.
But I'm also on LinkedIn under Shannon Leon as well. If you want to about some of the business that I have going on, that would be the best way to kind of link with me, especially if you do want to be a part of Vpack or a part of our summit, which is called Moms Who Pee Their Pants: How to Keep Your Panties Dry and Get Back to Living Your Best Life.
I like that.
I need to get my panties dry. Renee.
She's talking about the Vpack stress incontinence.
Well, can we order it? It's a monthly subscription, right? How do we order that?
Yes. So it's a monthly subscription box. Right now, we don't have the boxes available, but hopefully this coming summer, we'll have some more available for you.
Of the Vpack.
COVID distribution. That's what you have.
Yeah.
Not really. I just got another opportunity that I wanted to jump on. I had the opportunity to work with some previous colleagues of mine or business partners of mine, and I loved working with them. It's very exciting. What we do.
Can you tell us what it is?
Well, I work for a private equity company called Flowers Equity Partners. And one of our companies, one of the companies that we've supported and invested in, actually made their exit last year. It's called Suku. So Suku kind of went public, and they partnered with a SPAC. So they had like a $700 million valuation, and Infinite World, like the metaverse infrastructure, kind of came from that. So as a result of that exit, then we added a spinoff, which is called, and created Metaverse Advisors. So we advise, that's kind of like our advisory arm. So we kind of incubate high value deals or companies into the metaverse, take them from 2.0 to 3.0. And one of the companies that we're currently working with is called Mortgage Token. So that's really exciting because now we're going to tokenize mortgages and bring them from 2.0 to 3.0. So can you imagine what all you can do with that? Because in the metaverse, you're going to have to buy plots of land, and you're going to have to just kind of like how we do here. So this is like really revolutionizing mortgages, and also giving people an opportunity to get mortgages and to get lending who weren't in a position to get it before. So we kind of give the average investor the opportunity to participate early in Web 3.0, just kind of like the early versions of ICOs. So, my job is just to keep everyone organized, to keep everyone in the company organized, and, and keep everybody in communication.
Yeah, because tokenization is becoming big in investment anyway with, from the cryptocurrency, the tokenization is becoming more popular, and that people are saying that that's going to be $1 billion industry with
That's
that.
Right.
That is becoming, so it's good for people to start educating themselves on that, not just with the mortgaging, but just period.
Absolutely. So now NFTs are popular, which is the non-fungible tokens.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought those were getting saturated though, and kind of going out the window. The NFTs. No.
No.
So you need to talk to Tanya.
Well, one of our leading ladies told us about it.
Yeah, so you need to talk to her.
All right. Well, thanks for everyone for tuning in and listening to Shannon's story and her path. And for more information of our content, you can follow us on our social media at HEEP_ENT. If you have feedback, guests, oh God, I'm going to redo all of that. Okay. That was a cluster. Thanks to all of you for tuning in to this week's episode with Shannon Leon and listening to her story. For more of our content, you can follow us on our social media at HEEP_ENT. That's HEEP_ENT. If you have feedback, guest suggestions, collab pitches, or anything you want to tell us, you can reach out to our team at heepent@gmail.com. Until next time, stay tuned.
Continue to lead.
Yes, ma'am.